Welcome to the Iconics Genesis 64 video guide. This video discusses how to add dynamic properties to models in GraphWorX64, how to change the size and location of models based on current data, as well as how to create sliders and displays.
GraphWorX64 Analog Dynamics. Let me show you in a simple example how easy it is to create an analog dynamic inside GraphWorX64. For that, let's create a rectangle. You can change the color of that rectangle, and we define from the Dynamics tab a size dynamic, and you choose your OPC tag. For our example, let's take a simulation tag, sinus curve, which will give us a very nice and smooth animation. So there you have a few clicks and you have a size dynamic, very easy. Now you can apply this size dynamic to also objects having a different fill. For example, if your fill doesn't want to be green but you want to have an image, for example like this metal floor, then you have your image, and as we duplicated the object, it duplicates also the animation and the connection to that OPC tag. So now whenever we go into runtime, we will see that it is also animated, but doesn't look very nice being compressing that image. So let me show you with one click how you can avoid that. So for comparison, let's duplicate that object, go to dynamic of this size, and you will find a dynamic behavior called clip. Change that to true, and off you go. There you see that the image gets clipped the way you would expect it. This can also be applied to images we're importing. For example, if you have a very nice image, now in my case a GraphWorX64 background image, I want this image to be animated. You can do the same steps where you define the dynamic, a size dynamic, and you specify the OPC tag. But you can do something else. For example, you could take that object which also already has the animation you want. Right click on it, select copy. Select the target object, right mouse click on it, and you will find paste dynamics here in the context menu. That's all you have to do. Go into runtime and you'll see how nicely that image gets clipped without losing information. Now, I want, for example, an arrow showing exactly the position of this fill or this animation. So let's go here to home, create a polygon in the shape of a triangle represents now a arrow. Now the animation I'm going to put to this object is a location dynamic. As soon as I select location dynamic, it opens some preferences. So I select as a data source the same simulation, local sim sign, and I have to say where does that animation stop. So that's gonna be the endpoint of my animation. And that's it. Click and point, GraphWorX64, and you'll see that arrow going up and down. Something else I want to show you is, for example, that arrow going up and down just gives me a visual representation of that number. But I want to see that number in real value. So select process point, add it here, for example, point and click with source, and you're done. So let me just change a little bit the shape of this process point. I want to have a border around it so it gets more visible. Now we go into runtime and you see that OPC tag value changing, and whenever you go with a mouse on it, you will see the tooltip text also being changed. Now wouldn't it be nice if this value were going up and down together with the arrow? Well, that's very easy. Remember the copy and paste functionality. Select the arrow, select copy, target object, and say paste dynamics. That's it. Go into runtime and look at your animation. Something else you can do with the location dynamic is to specify it as a slider. For that, let's change something. Let's say I don't want to be this automated by an OPC tag which is being read. I want to write down to this OPC tag with a slider. So we can select that object, go to the dynamics, and let's change that OPC tag or that data source. In our case, we can change it to something called slider. So now we created an OPC tag with slider. Now, in order for this to be a slider, I need to say in the dynamic behavior that that object now is a slider. True. Now we just select to be a slider. It will ask you, when do I write the data? You can have a confirm, write initial value if you want, or you have continuous write. To make the things very smooth, I will select continuous write. Now, here I have a different tag than all the rest of the objects. I can do one thing. I could go here, select the tag, right mouse click, and say copy, go to my target, select the data source, and select paste. I could be doing that for all. But you see, the first problem you will see is that I may change the process point, but I may forget also to change the data source of the location. So let me show you one thing that will make these changes very easy and fast. In the home ribbon, you will find a find, and inside this find is a replace functionality. You can replace many things. For our example, it's enough to replace dynamic data source. So let's find the sign and have it replaced with a slider. You can also select multiple files if you have to do the same change on many files. In our example, it's enough to say on current display and say replace all. You will get a list of the objects and properties that has been changed. I'll close it and go into runtime. You'll notice as this is 0, you will find nothing here. You just drag your slider and you see the animation also being done by the other objects. This is a very nice functionality in GraphWorX64 for graphic development. Thank you for watching.